Pay attention. All right. So, your bio. Seun Afolayan is a product manager, a founder, writer, and a speaker. She is a computer science alumnus of Converge University. Seun started her professional career in 2018, and she has worked at different reputable firms. She has been working at Goldman Sachs for 5 years, where she has transitioned from a software engineer to a product manager, and is now the vice president product manager. Adding to that, she is the co-founder of Dara London, a community and social wellness club for Black women. Seun enjoys writing and speaking about topics like intentional living, community, identity, and leading purpose-driven lives. You can find some of our articles and talks on Medium and on YouTube. All right, you're welcome, Seun. Hello, Seun, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, everyone. It's great to meet you. And thanks so much, Malik, for the intro. All right, so I guess I can go into like my session now. Today, I'm going to be talking about networking and how you build meaningful connections.
All right, Seun, sorry to cut you short. All right, so I just want to announce for everyone that would like to ask a question, okay, we're going to be making use of Slido. Okay, so you have to go to www.slido.com and insert the following code. Okay, so whatever questions you have for Seun should be directed to that site. Okay, so I'm going to drop that on the chat box. Okay, and you can drop your questions there. All right. So, Seun, before you get started, okay, let's start things off on a lighter note. All right. One thing I say in your bio is that you transitioned from software engineering to product management. Okay, so I've been able to, I listened to your podcast with Renee Lewis, okay, the Black Byte podcast, on how you transitioned from software engineering to product management. But for the sake of those of us here that aren't very familiar with that, could you just shed more light on really what motivated that transition?
Yeah, was not expecting this interview today, but I'll try to be like succinct as possible.
All
So
right.
yeah, I started out my career at Goldman as a software engineer, and I interned as a software engineer as well in 2018. And when I started, I really enjoyed software engineering, and I still do right now. I really enjoy the thrill of writing code. I really liked the collaborative feel of working with other software engineers to bring a product to life. And did that for 2 years. And after a while, decided that, well, actually, what happened was I had a product manager on my team who was super busy. So Goldman has a very sort of lean structure. So they hired like quite a number of people, but not that many people. So you have like people doing crazy hours trying to get stuff done. And so my product manager on my team was pretty much like that. He had a whole lot of stuff to do, but we had this project to migrate a couple of people, I say a couple of people, like maybe 500 people from one instance of our application to a more productionized version. So from like a sandbox type environment to a more productionized environment. And yeah, he didn't have the time to do it, but I had some time. This was during the pandemic, and I was pretty much bored out of my mind from being at home, and I wanted a change. And so spoke to my manager at the time and decided to get some product management skills pretty much. So I started to do all of the PM type work, like speaking to users to figure out, what time they could migrate, when we should do the changes, pretty much trying to understand their problems around the migration and then try to come up with a solution on my team to help them. And that was successful. Did that for a minute. And sorry, 1 second.
All right, so while we wait for Sean to come back, I'm guessing everyone is excited for today's event. All right, so once again, if you have any questions for Sean, kindly make sure you make use of the link that has been dropped by ECX, slido.com, and you input that code there, and you can ask your questions on there. All right, over to you, Sean. You can continue.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, had this period of time where I was working with this product manager, but I was working as a software engineer and as a product manager. So, sort of doing two roles at the same time. This is really hectic because the two roles are just so different, right? With software engineering, you're coding, your head is down, trying to figure out problem. Whereas the product management, you're speaking to lots of different people to try to connect different dots in your head. And yeah, just didn't have the time to do both really well. So after a while, I decided to make the switch for a couple of reasons. I think for me, software engineering was a really good career path, but I thought that I would not be the best at it because I just wasn't that interested in it. And I think that's something I want to leave with everyone here today is that you have to lean on your strengths rather than trying to, bring your areas of development up to par with everyone else's. I was a really good software engineer, don't get me wrong, but I was just not that interested. Like when there were new technologies, so for example, like blockchain was coming out, I wasn't thinking about, oh my God, how can I, start to create something with the blockchain? It's probably my thinking was, how can I use like this blockchain technology to help this person? Right. So I had to, that mindset reframe was more suited towards product management than it was to software engineering. And so I decided to, make that change in my career, take the leap. And I've really, really enjoyed being a product manager ever since.
All right, beautiful, very beautiful. Okay, so you've been in London for about 5 years now, working at Goldman Sachs. You're an alumnus of Covenant University, right? So I would like to ask, is there a particular thing about Nigeria that you are missing over there in London, or that you would wish, oh, if I had a chance, I could bring this over to London?
There's so many things that you can bring over to London from Nigeria, but the problem is actually being able to make them the same way. And I'm speaking specifically about food, because one of the things that I really, really miss, and I was back in Nigeria in December, so it's still very, very fresh in my mind, was amala. So obviously, proud Yoruba girl, amala and abula. So ewedu, regiri, and some stew. That is, when I went to Nigeria in December for 2 weeks, I probably ate amala 5 times. And this is not this is not a joke. I ate it from Knock. I ate it from like the, like the Buka Huts. My mom made it like 3 times. Like it was just, I could not get enough of it. And now that I'm back to London, it's definitely one of the things I'm missing. Like I said, it's not that you don't have amala here, you have it, but you can't really make it the way that other people can make it. And I ordered amala yesterday night actually, which is why it's so fresh in my brain. And it just was not it. It was so horrible, but you had to take what you can get. But I think that's the one thing that cannot beat it in Lagos.
All right, beautiful. So I think we can all agree now that amala is the best food in the world.
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
Okay, all right. So I guess we can start off with this session. As I said, Sean will be taking us on the session titled Networking and Building Positive Professional Connections. All right, so Sean, the floor is yours. You can start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So just trying to figure out screen share. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Right. So today I want to talk a bit about networking and building meaningful connections. So I'm sure people already have some inkling of what networking is, and I'll go into that briefly. So again, who am I? Malik has done a great job in introducing me. My name is Seun. Some people call me Shay, but it's pretty much what it is, whatever kind of works for people. product manager at Goldman, previously a software engineer, went to Covenant University, and I actually wanted to say that I went to ISL as well. So though I didn't go to Unilag, it's very, very close to going to Unilag, but ultimately decided to go to Covenant instead. 5+ years of experience, and then, you know, all of the other stuff, speaker, founder, writer, etc. So what is networking? I guess this quote from Forbes is a really powerful one that encapsulates the spirit of networking. So it says that networking is not only about trading information, but also serves as an avenue to create long-term relationships with mutual benefits. And this is such a mouthful, even with me just saying it, right? So how can we break that down? First of all, it's about creating long-term relationships with mutual benefits. I think the core of networking is creating relationships. If you have friends, you already know how to build a network. If you have teammates at school that you build projects with, you already have a network. If you've gone to an internship and you've built a relationship with people in there, you already have a network. So first of all, no one is starting from scratch. Networking is all about building relationships. And it's about building them long-term. So one of the really cool things about networking is that it's just making friends that help you out in the future, right? So the future bit is really important because you build relationships over a long period of time. And it's very, very possible, right, for you to meet someone today and completely click with them and for them to be helping you out tomorrow. But it's not always the case, right? For most of the time, for most of the friends that you probably have, you're with them for, a specific time, let's say from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day at school. And then you sort of build those connections, you learn a little bit more about them. And over the long enough period of time, you're able to call them like your friend or your best friend or whatever it is. But I think the really cool thing about networking as well is that it's mutual benefit. So you benefit me, I benefit you, we're both getting value from each other. But at the core, it's primarily about relationships. But it is also about trading information. It's definitely about relationships. And it's not only about trading information, but a really big part of it is trading information. It's trading information, it's trading ideas, it's trading services. Again, it's pretty much giving value to someone and then getting value back. And why is it so important? Why do we even need to do this? I mean, first of all, I've already spoken about how it has just mutual benefits, right?
Hello,
But people, yeah?
All right, so I'm guessing you're sharing your slide, but we are only seeing the Google Meet screen over here.
Oh, that's so crazy. Yeah, should have said something. I'll try again. How's this?
Okay, yeah.
Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, I'm just going to do a quick recap. So I said networking is not only about trading information, but it also serves as an avenue to create long-term relationships and mutual benefits. And a really cool quote from Forbes. And I was trying to highlight that part of it is around creating long-term relationships with mutual benefits. So at its core, it's about relationship building, but it's also not just about trading information, but a huge part of it is trading information, trading ideas, and trading services. And so this is, I think, where it stopped, which is why is networking so important? And it's important because people with stronger networks end up with higher salaries and more promotions. This is just research backed. And this is something that I've seen as well in my career. So when I was an intern at Goldman, I was working in the global markets division, and I was working on a trading app, and actually an approvals app for a trading app. And I didn't really enjoy what I was doing. I think I have a track record of not liking what I'm doing and then finally just going to find the next thing to do. But anyway, I was in this team, didn't really enjoy what I was doing. And then I started looking for something else to do. And then I went to a networking event, just one of the mixers that were organized by Goldman at the time. And I met this girl. She seemed very cool. She was always carrying an iPad around, always making doodles. And I thought what she was doing was very, very cool. And it turned out she was in the UX design team. And so I went to her and said, like, hey, how can I join your team? Bear in mind, I'm an intern, pretty much no leverage or power. And I was going up to someone to ask it, well, like, how can I join your team? I think what you're doing is so cool. And then she introduced me to her manager. I had a chat with her manager. Her manager was like, well, this team is primarily for designers, and we would prefer it if people went to school and studied design. However, we work with this UX engineering team that gets to implement all of the designs that we create. So he introduced me to the head of the UX engineering team, who turned out to be someone I had met already during the internship. So we hit it up like pretty quickly. He asked why I wanted to join the team. I think he was okay with that. And then he introduced me to other people in his team to sort of have informal interviews. So at this time, my internship had finished. Like, according to other people, I would probably have been joining like my previous internship team when I came back to Goldman. But after my internship, they had called me back to have an informal interview. I did that with 2 of the people in the team, I think 3 of the people in the team. They really liked me. And then I got the offer to come back into that team, so the UX engineering team. And why am I saying this? Like, this was not a job application. This was not an interview. This was me just having conversations with a series of people who knew other people who helped me get the job that has gotten me to where I am today. Right. So you will end up with a new job. You will end up with higher salaries. You're able to figure out how to negotiate. You're able to get promotions. And the more connected you are to people in different job levels, the more likely you are to know about new opportunities like me when they arise. Why else is it important? A way to exchange ideas. So if you think about someone who, I'll just use the example that I used at the start, which is Abula. So you have Amala, which is great on its own. You can use it with you can use it with Iwadi, you can use it with okra, right? And then you have like okra on its own. It's great with like pounded yam or whatever. But being able to connect those two together, it just gives a completely different flavor, different taste. And it's really a way for you to, networking is a way for you to get what's out of your head, talk to someone else about it, and get what's out of their heads. They talk to you about it, and suddenly the stuff that you can create together is so much bigger, right? So a way to exchange ideas and widen your perspective of what is possible. It's also a way for you to access new opportunities. I think I've spoken a little bit about that. And 3, depending on who you're speaking to, it's a way to learn new insights about your industry, but not just the industry. Think about like the company that you're in, the school that you're in. You know, think about if you go to do a master's, for example, and you go to do it abroad or even in a different school, you don't know how the culture is. You don't know, what the people are like. And when you speak to someone, you're able to get an idea, and that information is really, really powerful. 4th, you're able to raise your profile. So again, by speaking with lots of different people, whenever someone else decides to speak to you, they're like, oh, have you spoken to Seun about this? Have you spoken to, I don't know, Emmanuel about this, right? Like, because they know of you, they're able to help other people connect the dots in their head. So think about the engineering manager, or the design manager that I had spoke to you guys about before. So, was looking for this job. I asked someone relatively junior on the team because I liked her iPad or whatever. And then she knew to introduce me to her manager because she already had a connection with her manager. So even people being able to say, if you're looking to learn more about back-end engineering, go to Tolu. If you're looking to learn more about UI UX, go to Daniel, right? So it's just a way for you to raise your profile, be more visible, so that people come to you for more stuff, and then the benefits just keep making, like, they just keep expanding and expanding. And finally, it's a way to build long-lasting relationships. I spoke a little bit about this, but I've also had friendships from my first day in my internship at Goldman we're still such good friends today, right? Like, it's just about, again, at its core, building connections, building relationships. And some of those actually turn to friendships where, you're able to discuss, the really important things. How are you today? What's going on with you? What's your mental health like? Yada, yada, yada. The stuff that you actually discuss with your friends, are able to go out to parties with them, right? And it comes from having a work relationship to something like much deeper. And networking can be daunting. It can be very scary. But the good thing is that you don't have to network with everyone. You can be selective, even from where you are. Even if you think that you have nothing of value to offer, you most likely do. But you don't have to network with everyone. You can be selective. However, who you network with and their relevance to your career matters more, right? So you're able to handpick people and say, I want to make a relationship or a connection with you because of XYZ, and because of how you can benefit my career, but also because of how you are able to contribute to their success, right? So you're able to, it depends on what your goal is, right? If your goal is to get a new job, you probably want to go on LinkedIn to see what jobs, what people have the jobs that you have that you can have access to, and message them because of that. If your goal is to get more insights about your industry, probably want to go to someone who is in your industry, and then have a coffee, catch up with them, and you're able to create a connection from that. So the goal of your networking will determine who you network with, so that you don't have to network with everyone. So you want to study how you can contribute to their success. So, some background checks, preparation is key, but you also want to know what you can gain from their knowledge. Okay. So what types of network connections can you make? You can make personal connections, operational connections, and strategic connections, and I'll get to that in a minute. So with personal connections, this is purely about enhancing your personal and professional development, right? So this is about, soft skills. You could speak to someone in your industry or out of your industry about what's it like having, how can I become more confident, for example? Or it can be about, well, I'm facing this problem at school. What do you think about it? How can we brainstorm ideas to solve it together? So for people like this, think about like your mentors, your lecturers, your family, your friends. Again, you're just building relationships, and it can be quite personal. Operational is when it comes into more of a professional light. So these are people who might not be relevant to you, but you should know for the next stage of your life, I guess. It's like when you get to, when you start to have a job, you want people around you who can help you fulfill your job duties, pretty much get your stuff done, right? So in the work environment, everyone has their own priorities, right? Everyone has their own goals that they're working towards. And if you need something from a different team, for example, it's always better to know someone in that team that can help you do your work. Because half the time, if you go through the established connections, I don't want to say like legal routes, because it makes it sound like networking is illegal, but the places that you're supposed to go to, you go and fill a form on the site. It's always better to talk to someone who is already in that team rather than filling out like some form or some support ticket, for example. And the people that you're thinking about connecting with in this instance are like your line managers, your teammates, your interdepartmental colleagues. Think about people who are SMEs in some area that you might want to get access to. And finally, you have strategic connections. So these are people that can help you achieve your business goals. So think about, like, again, this might be very, very far off from you, but if I can bring it down, think about you starting a business selling candles, right? You probably want someone who is a candle wholesaler that can actually help impact your business, that can actually help you drive your business goals. So these are primarily business connections. Think about heads of XYZ, business leaders, CEOs, just people in higher positions of power that can actually help you move the needle on whatever goal that you're trying to achieve. So where do you find these networking opportunities? You have platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter. I know that the ECX team had actually reached out to me on LinkedIn, and that's pretty much a connection that we have now, right? So you have student societies, clubs, or associations. I was in the in NACOS, so National Association of Computer Science Students, when I was at university, and I was president of NACOS. And some of the people that I worked with while I was in NACOS, they're really, really helpful to me still to today. And this is not just, you know, people in my level or in my course, well, obviously my course, but not just in my level, but people in levels above me, people in levels below me. And those people I still reach out to for help till today. Right, so you have talks, workshops, or seminars hosted by a university, pretty much like this. Some people can like reach out to me after the events. That's a new network that you've created, but also think about reaching out to other people who are in the event. So I think when you're in a physical location is always much better because you're able to connect to people at the location. But when you're outside the location or you're virtual, then you have to become a bit more creative with how you make these connections. Volunteering for a course or organization that you want to learn about. Again, that would just help you meet more people, asking your friends, classmates, etc., for referrals for people that you're interested in that you want to speak to. And I think broader than this, right? Think about like house parties that you go to. Is there anyone that you're interested in, and do you want to learn a bit more about where they work and what they do? Some people who have like brands, do you want to learn a bit more about how you can help them out? Do you want to learn about marketing? Do you want to learn about design? You can go to meet them. So just whenever you're having like conversations with people, you're already networking, but just think deeper about what types of questions do I want the answers to? What do I want to know about them? And in return, what can I give them? So how do you get started? Of course, again, it can be very daunting to walk up to people, but the elevator pitch actually started. I think this is a true story, but what I have heard is that it's called the elevator pitch because you can go into an elevator with someone, and in the time that it takes for you to get from, for example, ground floor to the topmost floor, you should be able to introduce yourself in a way that people actually care about what you have to say. So think about, and actually this happened in my internship with an intern getting on an elevator with the CEO of Goldman. And yeah, the person just kind of froze and didn't really say anything. I don't know if I would have said anything in that situation just because it's such a high stress one. But think about maybe not the CEO of a company, but like a manager in the company that you want to get access to. So these are the types of things that you want to say to them when you get on the elevator with them. And of course, because it's an elevator, you want to keep it very, very short. I think 1 minute is even too long, but I've just kept it out 1 minute for this presentation. But you want to be able to introduce yourself, your skills, your goals, so what you're trying to achieve all within 1 minute. And this includes like your name, your field of study, your desired position, your skills, your achievements, your interests, what exactly makes you stand out, why you're interested in the opportunity, or why you're interested in the person that you're speaking to, and a call to action or question that makes you be able to follow up with them. So I've put in an example here, and I just want people to take a minute to read it, and I can also speak to it. But I think it's really important for you to start getting ideas on how to present yourself in a way that is short, very succinct, but also packs a punch. It adds a lot of value right off the bat. So this is Damilola. He's a computer science student at the University of Lagos. He has experience in developing web and mobile applications. He's in React, Node, and Firebase. He's passionate about user-friendly software that solves real-world problems. He wants to work as an intern in this person's company because he admires their commitment to tackling social impact initiatives, like the decarbonization of the software development lifecycle. And he wants to contribute to their project with his skills, which he's mentioned, and his enthusiasm. And he's asking if they could tell him more about their current project and how he can get involved. So you can already see it has his name so that people don't forget where he is right now at life. So he's a computer science student at University of Lagos. The skills that he has, right? His interests, why he's speaking to them, and also the bit about the decarbonization of the software development lifecycle. That's really interesting because it's such a niche thing that you only really know if you've been able to prepare to speak to someone, right? And then he follows up with a call to action, which is, we're probably not going to, it would be great if we don't stop talking once we leave this elevator. How can we continue to talk even after that, right? So can you tell me more about your current project and how I can get involved? And this is just very short, succinct. It's not scary at all. These are things that you already have that you just have to plug and play to make it work for you. And just rounding up some tips for making network connections. So first, you have to be authentic, be personal, and tell your story. So everyone has a story. Everyone has their path and their journey to get into where they are today. Everyone who has their interests. So you want to bring out that side of you that makes people connect with you on a much deeper level. You want to prepare, right? So before you speak to anybody, please have questions that you're coming with, topics that you want to cover, goals that you want to discuss, right? You don't want to get on a call or, across the table from someone and just be mute, or even worse, have them drive the conversations because there's nothing to talk about. Then you want to engage with them, right? So again, it's a two-way street. You want to listen to their needs, their challenges, their interests. And actually, this is referring to the law of reciprocity, which is people love to talk about themselves. And so the more that you can listen to what they need, what they're talking about, that is already in itself adding value, right? That you're able to harness from them, right? So you add value to them and then they add value back to you. And you can do that just by listening to people talk. That is already adding value. Next, you want to have something to offer, like I said, add value to them. This can be through sharing knowledge, insights, or resources. So for example, you can share a blog post that you've read that might be really interesting to them. You can leave reviews on an article that they've written. If they've gotten a promotion recently, you can say, congratulations on your promotion. You can, again, just send them stuff that they're interested in. Just start curating that connection for yourself. And that in itself is already adding value, right? You don't have to actually work for them to be able to add value to them. All it is just sharing tips. Hey, I read this thing that might be really interesting to you because of X, Y, Z. What do you think about it? Would you like to talk about it once you've read it? That type of thing. And then if you can't find networking events or just places to network in general, create one, be the change that you want to see. Although, like I said, there's already so many that you can plug into, but you might be looking for a specific flavor of network that you might not, have the access to. So in this case, like create your own groups, create your own associations, your own clubs. And this does not have to be like a school club, because I know sometimes they're not that easy to create, but you can create one outside of school, right? Just for yourself. And when I started Dara London, which is a community for Black women in London, I did want to network with women, but I wanted to network with them outside of the work context. And I realized that every time that I would speak to people, they would always talk to me about like the work that they were doing. Whereas I was interested in like, what hobbies are you doing today? What areas can I get the best food in London? So that was what I wanted to talk about. And I wanted to be the change that I wanted to see. So I created the community for that. And finally, follow up. So if you've met someone over, in a networking event, so you've met them in a house party, whatever, and then they give you their information and you follow them, you actually have to say something to them after that. And it's always good to have um, uh, references to what you've spoken about. So if you, for example, after this event, you connect with me on LinkedIn. By the way, I'm not asking anyone to connect with me on LinkedIn. Obviously, if you want to, feel free to, but just say like you connect with me on LinkedIn and then you say, oh my God, I really liked it when you spoke about amala because amala is also my favorite food because of XYZ. That makes the person remember you, remember your name, so that next time that you speak to them or you send them an article on how to make the best amala, they actually remember you. And obviously, you probably don't want to make it about amala because then they start to associate your name with that. But you just want some hook, something to make them remember the conversation that you've had, and then start to build up on that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for me today. And I would love to take any questions that people have. I know they're probably on Slido, right?
All right, thank you very, very much, Sean, for that beautiful session. Yes, we do have some questions. And once again, guys, if you have any question, please kindly post them on Slido. All right, Sean. So we have some questions for you. And the first one here says, what do you think about reaching out to someone through LinkedIn? What do you
Oh
think
yeah,
about reaching out to someone through LinkedIn?
definitely do that. LinkedIn is I want to say, one of the perfect places to reach out to people, especially in a professional context. So you want to learn a little bit more about what they're doing at work. You want to learn a bit more about their career as a whole. That is the perfect place. I would say though, I have had people reach out to me over Instagram, and it's not my favorite like platform if you want to talk about work. So just be very mindful of, if I want to talk about work, the best place to do that is to reach out via LinkedIn. And I would also say that don't be afraid to follow up multiple times. So if you've reached out to someone and they haven't replied you, right? Don't be afraid to reach out again, because sometimes like it can just get lost in their inbox. Just follow up with like an interesting piece of information, something that makes them want to speak to you. But I think LinkedIn is a fantastic place to connect.
All right, thank you very, very much, Sean. So you've heard that LinkedIn is a fantastic place to connect. All right, so moving on, we have another one here. It says, can you suggest some conversation openers for someone who is new to networking and not very skilled at it? So this person is
Yeah,
asking for icebreakers he can use. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, icebreakers. So think I wouldn't do like a if it's a an in-person event, I wouldn't do like a, oh, I like your shoes, because that's, yeah, you probably don't want to do that. But you can start by asking like, what city do you live in? How long have you been in? It depends on like wherever you're in, but just ask questions around like that context. So if I'm going to a networking event that's organized by my school, you probably want to say something like, "Oh, what course are you in, and how are you enjoying it so far?" It's pretty much just. It doesn't even have to be like an icebreaker. Like, I don't know what types of icebreakers they are, but some of them are very cringe. But it doesn't have to be like that. It can just be, what course did you study at school? How are you enjoying it? What level are you in? What's your favorite subject? I mean, people don't usually say that last one in conversation, but I think that's sort of how you want to open it. Just very like slow, smooth, steady, and then you build up on that.
All right, thank you very much, Sean, for that reply. Okay. So, what advice do you have for someone who wants to network or feels anxious doing it?
Mm. I would say you can start with a virtual platform, so you don't always have to walk up to people in person. But I think that social media, specifically like LinkedIn, Twitter, I think those are really good places to get access to people without necessarily showing like your face. And right, you just need to type the conversation, type the opener, and then close your eyes and send it. Right. So once you get more familiar with that, maybe you're meeting people over like Zoom, Google Meets, then you can start to translate that to in real life, connections and meeting people um, in person, right? So I think you can start from social media and just, go from there. But don't be afraid to do it. Like I said, it's not supposed to be something that's daunting. It's just you introducing yourself, saying, these are the skills that I have, and this is how I think I can add value to you. Can we meet up? That's pretty much what it is. It's just building that relationship.
All right, beautiful. Thank you very much. Okay, so one more. What is your advice when applying for a new job like data science, and how to avoid being intimidated to apply for companies like Goldman Sachs?
So first, I'm
Do
not
you
a
want me to
data
come again?
scientist. No, I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay, so I'll just go. So first, I'm not a data scientist, so can't really give specific data science advice. But applying for jobs like Goldman Sachs, I'm trying to think back to when I actually applied, and it was very, very daunting. First of all, I applied twice, right? So I didn't get in the first time, and then I applied again. And that's very important because I think people, and lots of people that I know didn't get in once, like people have applied 3 times, 4 times, and it's just about taking that first plunge. Maybe you get to the interview stage and then they give you feedback on why it wasn't you this time. And then you go back and then you revisit your story, you revisit like your skills, and then you apply again. So first of all, you can apply multiple times, right? So just take the plunge and do it. Because I think that people shut themselves down before they even get a chance to prove themselves, right? Like the worst thing is thinking, I am not going to get in, and then not applying at all, right? In that case, you're just never, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You're never going to get in. But the one thing to do is to do something, anything. Create a CV, like I can share templates with people if they're interested after this, but create a CV with your education, your skills, your experience, your extracurricular activities. That's very, very important. And just send it in. And it might happen, it might not happen, but you've done it. And then you do it again and you do it again until you eventually get in. And also like try to go broad, right? It's not just Goldman. There's other different types of companies out there. And it's a numbers game, right? You apply to 2 countries, you have a 50% chance of getting into one of them. You apply to 500 companies, you have better chance of getting into one company, right? So think broad. Think about the different areas that you want to go into. It's not just Goldman Sachs, but yeah, just take the first step. Just actually submit that CV. It's a really crucial one that most people don't actually get to. That's why I'm kind of hammering on it. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay, I see people keep on posting questions. We won't be able to take all, but I'll try our best possible to take most of them. Okay, so how can you optimize your LinkedIn profile so that when you reach out to someone, they can take you seriously? So this person is asking about how frequently he or she should post or engage in posts.
Yeah. Okay. I actually don't post that frequently. So yeah, there's that. But I know that posting does help enhance your visibility on the LinkedIn platform. Right. So multiple people are able to see you, they're able to engage with your thoughts, and then you're able to have comments with them, and then from there you can go and catch up with them. Now, if you're reaching out to someone and you're just cold LinkedIn calling them. You want to have your name, of course. It's a quick summary of who you are, what you're interested in. I think you can also look at my LinkedIn profile to see sort of what I'm talking about. So I don't just have like the places I've worked in, but I also have the things I'm interested in. I have the fact that I have created this community called Dara London on there. I have the fact that I'm a writer on my LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn isn't just about the stuff you do in a work context, but it can be around the extracurricular stuff that you do that makes you a more, well-rounded person. So it's a holistic version of you that you want to present to the world. And obviously, it shouldn't be something that's super crazy, right? Like, I don't know. I'm sure there's some hobbies that you're like, I probably don't want people to know that I do this. So anything that's like reasonable in a professional context, you probably want to put it on your LinkedIn just so that people have a holistic idea of you, right? What else do you want to do? Include all of the experiences that you've had and also the value that you brought to those experiences. So you could say I interned at Pseudotech company, and during my internship, I delivered 90% of the items that I was assigned to, and I provided $200 million in value to the company. Right? You want to sort of put in the stuff that you've done, pretty much what you'd have in your CV. You kind of want to put it on your LinkedIn and really tell a complete story of yourself. So I'd say like those are my ways to optimize your LinkedIn profile. All of the other stuff, have a good, clear picture of yourself so that people actually know who they're speaking to. Have a really nice banner that shows, who you are at first glance. What else? Just, yeah. I think that should be enough to actually get started for people to say, yeah, I'd like to speak to this person.
All right, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so I have a question here. It says, when is the right time to start reaching out to people that are way above me so it doesn't seem like you are bothering them?
That's a very good question. I think you want to start small, especially if you're new to networking, so that you don't go to meet a CEO at first and then you just have nothing to say, or you're too scared to actually talk to them, right? You kind of want to have a little bit of experience, build that muscle before you go to meet someone who's very, very senior and very, very high up. So like I mentioned in the at the start with the friend that I had who was in a different team who had the iPad, that was very, very cool. Right. That was someone who was maybe a year or two above me in a professional context. So she had just, she was probably like a year or two into Goldman, and I was an intern. Right. So this was not someone who was very, very senior. This was just someone who was an analyst, and I was interested in her team. So start small, right? Build a muscle. Reach out to people within your network already, your friends. Think about the conversations that you can have with them that aren't just about the, regular how you do, how I do, da 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 da. Like ask them, what's work like for you recently? Anything that you want to share with me, etc. So you can start with the people around you, graduate to people who are 1 or 2 levels above you, and then really important is ask them who they could introduce you to. Because now you're not reaching out to a CEO by yourself. Let's say a manager. You're not reaching out to a manager by yourself. Someone with 10 years of experience. You're asking someone with 2 years of experience to introduce you to someone with 5 years of experience, who will then introduce you to someone with 10 years of experience, right? So by the time you meet the person with 10 years of experience, they're going to say, oh, well, I know you wanted to meet because this other person that's 5 years of experience has said that you're interested in XYZ. So they already have a connection of you, and you're using the social capital of the person with 5 years of experience. I hope that makes sense to people, right? You're not meeting this person that's really, really high up just by your own skills and relevance, but you're actually plugging into the reputation of the person with 5 years of experience to then meet this person who's super, super high up. So start small, build your network, build those connections. It would start to grow exponentially. And then you're able to meet like those really, really senior people.
All right, thank you very, very much. Okay, so there's a question here. Do you have any tips for doing well in group networking? I think your slides already cover this. Be authentic and personal, prepare questions, a topic you would like to talk about before, engage and listen to them as well, and some other ones. But do you have any other thing you want to add as well?
Yeah, for group networking, it can be very difficult, I don't even think I covered like the specifics of group networking on my slide, because you have like 10 other, less than not 10, 5 other people talking to this one person. And you have to make sure that the questions you ask are much deeper and much thoughtful than the other questions the other people ask. Obviously, it's not a competition, but it's not just enough to be asking the shallow questions like, oh, what's it like working at your company, whatever. You probably want to ask much deeper questions like, what is the biggest challenge that you faced in your company today and how did you overcome it? Right, that's much deeper. That makes the person think and makes the person think, oh, well, it's very interesting that this person is asking me this. I'd like to know more about them after this session. Right, so you want to ask the most interesting questions. And there's a quote that says that you shouldn't make yourself the most interesting person. You want to make the other person the most interesting person. And that just comes from curiosity, asking the right questions so that all of those other people that they're speaking to, even if they don't remember them, they will definitely remember you. I've been to group networking sessions, don't remember half the people. Obviously, we've added value to each other in the moment, but when you sort of go out of that environment, you kind of forget people very, very quickly. So the main goal is making sure that people can remember you, and that comes from the questions that you ask.
All right, very beautiful. Thank you very much for that response. Okay, so just 3 more questions and we'll wrap it up. So I would like to ask, what tips did you majorly use during your internships? And how were you able to navigate the journey from the application to becoming an intern?
Oh, okay. So on the last part, I don't remember what happened from the application to becoming an intern, but I'm pretty sure I did some like learnings and like the technologies that my team was going to use. I remember that I reached out to the people that I saw were on my team. So I reached out to them via LinkedIn and just got like a coffee chat with some of them, just to learn a little bit more about like what's the environment I'm going into. So I remember I did that. But ultimately, during the internship, that's really, really hard internship for me, by the way, because even though I studied computer science at Covenant, a lot of the work that we had done was very theoretical. And I think this just happens in a lot of schools, right? It's really teaching you about the basics and the fundamentals of computer science. And then you get to the work environment, and then you have to create all of this code that you just don't know how to write. So I'm very honest, it was not the best code writer or code monkey or whatever. It was very much like understanding the theoreticals and the fundamentals, and then I had to apply it. So during my internship, I had to learn, and I had to learn very, very quickly. I had 10 weeks to prove myself and deliver a project for something that I had no idea how to do. So I used all of the resources available to me, my teammates, but also the other people I was on the internship with who had a little bit more experience than I did. And also other people outside of my team who later became like my mentors, right? So using the full breadth of people that you have available to you. And Goldman is also very difficult because you don't always want to ask your manager all the questions, because you want to also present like you actually know what you're doing, right? So when you come to them, you want to have a baseline understanding, and you're asking them to add the work context to it. So the first people I was actually speaking to were my teammates, not my manager, and then other people outside of my team that had more knowledge of those technologies. So that when I went to go meet my manager, I was in a much better place of understanding, so that he didn't think it like I just didn't know what I was doing. Right, so I asked lots of questions, and I asked them very, very frequently. The worst thing that you want to do is, again, you have 10 weeks to do something, and you spend 3 of those weeks trying to figure out one simple problem that someone else knew the answer to straight off the bat, right? Ask questions, ask them early, ask lots of them.
All right, thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very much. So, how do you handle successfully networking with someone on a professional level when instead they want more of a personal relationship with you?
Oh, very interesting question. So you want to network with them on a professional level, but they want a personal relationship with you. I don't think I've actually been in a situation like that. Um, but I think I'm very open to people networking with me on a personal level as well, because at the end of the day, it's a long-term relationship. You meet them once, you talk about like your life. You meet them the next time, you talk about work. And like I said, the you can build like actual friendships from this. You don't want to only talk to people about the non-work stuff, but you also want to find a way to build that in. Um, I would say, yeah, like if you ask someone like how's work, would they just say, I don't want to talk about that, so let's talk about something? I guess it's possible that people actually say that, but I would just say, if it doesn't happen on the first conversation, try again on the second conversation, try again on the third conversation. And if you truly don't want a personal relationship with that person, then why do you even want a professional relationship with them in the first place? Like, you have to have some basis of interest in the other person that you're connecting with, right?
All right. Thank you very much. So, just one last question. It's my question actually. So, you said networking is meant to be mutual. Okay. So, you give and you receive as well. And when you're discussing, when you're having conversations with people, you try as much as possible to engage them, right? But what if the discussion begins to tend towards a space that you really don't have knowledge about, and you don't want to come off as someone that is not knowledgeable? How do you handle that kind of situation?
Oh, that's the best situation to be in, because you don't know anything and they know all of it, right? So you're able to ask them a ton of questions that they're very, very happy to talk to you about, right? Again, networking is about not being the most interested person, but not being the most interesting person, like it's not about you, but being the most interested person about them, right? It's about curiosity. So the more you don't know about an area, the better questions are you able to ask about it. The more you can say, oh, you said something about XYZ, and this is what I know. I know ABC. What do you think? How does this make sense in your head? And then they can say, oh, no, this is not what I meant. I can, like this, because you don't know something, it provides a perfect foundation for asking them questions. And again, by you asking questions, you're already providing value to them, because they're able to figure out their worldview. They're able to build their perspective. You know how it is about, you can master a subject by teaching it to someone else. Because you're asking questions, you're helping them master the subject, and that is already value in itself. So actually, that's the best place to be in.
All right, thank you very much, Sean. Thank you very, very much. So finally, someone says, can you share the CV templates to make such a nice internship applications to to companies like Goldman Sachs, Microsoft, or Google? Do you have any?
Yes. So I'll share that with the ECX team, and then we can share it with everyone.
Okay, very beautiful. All right, so thank you very much, Sean. On behalf of our entire audience and the ECX team, I want to express our deepest gratitude for this session. All right, so we are very grateful. We're very glad to have had you on this call. All right, so the
Thank
depth of your expertise, the thoughtful way of how you address the question truly made this session special. So thank you very, very much, Sean.
Thank you so much. I'm really, really happy to see the love. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone.
All right, so thank you very much, everyone. All right. So thank you very much once again, everyone. We've come to an end of today's session. So join us same time, 10 to 11, or rather 10 to 12 next week for another insightful session on soft skills. All
Great.
right.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.